All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Tuesday morning Inner Circle Live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today. Hope everybody had a great weekend, a great extended weekend. Looking forward to getting things started. So as always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper for notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. So let's hop over and dive into some fundamentals before we hop to the charts. It was a lazy one. That's good. Sometimes it's definitely good to just chill out and relax. Uh, Here at the Carthage household, we didn't do a ton either. Um, Logan had a track meet on Sunday, and then we did a little bit of barbecuing yesterday, and we had our first fire at the fire pit of the season. So it was a good relaxed time for us here. So all right, now a few things coming out of the Eurozone that just to keep our eyes on, right? Eurozone economic sentiment at a 6-month low. Italian producer prices unexpectedly fall, right? Producer price index decreased. Eurozone lending growth slows, right? European shares mostly flat on Tuesday. So all around the Eurozone, starting to see some more data come out regarding things slowing down, right? Things slowing down. So we'll want to continue to keep our eyes on that, all right? As things shift. Swiss GDP extends to 0.3% in Q1. So on the other hand, that Swiss franc GDP increase for the first quarter. So still expansion there, kind of in line with their talks regarding more interest rate hikes potentially needed. So that is that from trading economics. Over to the calendar. Those are those numbers that came in early this morning. Later on today, we have consumer confidence for the United States. Then tonight, we have Governor Lowe of the Reserve Bank of Australia coming to the microphone, 7 p.m. Then CPI data for the Aussie coming in at 9:30. It's going to be a key number for Australia, so we'll want to watch that tonight. Then tomorrow, so first half of the week is relatively slow, and then we pick up a little bit at the end. So as we go into the beginning of the month of June, we're already 6 months in. So tomorrow, German preliminary CPI month over month for the Eurozone. You got retail sales for Swiss franc. Then you have financial stability review. This just talks about assessment of conditions of financial system and potential risks to financial stability, right? So that could give a little bit of insight coming out of the Eurozone. Then we have at 8:30 GDP for Canada. You got FOMC member speakers coming to the microphone early morning on Wednesday. JOLTS job openings report, which could be a big one for the United States. Continue to watch these numbers to see if they continue to move down or if we're seeing another uptick. As some of the data from last week that we saw. Chairman Jordan for Swiss National Bank. FOMC members for the United States coming to the microphone also tomorrow. Excuse me. Then Thursday, we start our normal round of cycle again. CPI flash estimate for the Eurozone, core CPI for the Eurozone, President Lagarde, 5:30. Then we got ADP non-farm payroll and unemployment claims for the United States. ISM manufacturing PMI, all ahead of non-farm payroll numbers for the United States coming out on Friday. So all things just to keep our eyes on. See if we get some a tick up in volatility. Sliding over to the VIX, right? Last week we watched it. It ticked up to close to 19 and then made its way back down, right? So we're sitting at 17 right now. You have, from a debt ceiling perspective, you have a potential agreement on the table that's going to the two branches to get the final approval. So the government, president, and other officials are making calls to their constituents to try to get their sign off on this debt ceiling agreement ahead of June 5th, which is the deadline. So we want to continue to monitor that, right? But that is part of the cause of the VIX to decrease a bit, because there's a potential deal on the table now. I'm supposed to be voting today and tomorrow, and we'll see how those votes go to see if anybody doesn't agree. We'll see if anybody doesn't agree. So that's where we sit. All right. So any questions from a fundamental perspective? No.
No.
All right. Cool deal. Did you guys see anything over the weekend that caught your eye from a fundamental perspective that you want to chat about?
I was looking at UCAD.
Uh-huh. You're just talking about the chart itself?
Yeah, I was just far as this, on this 1 hour. No, that's NZCAD. I'm sorry. No, I was looking at UCAD and I put in a buy limit. I ain't have my computer. I ain't never had my computer in the morning. I'm sorry. I put a buy limit because even though it was like a 236, I want to say it was a 382,618 area on the 4 hour. Not unless if I should have just stayed off the charts. But it was like at the bottom of the cloud. Yeah.
So right now, I don't know if you can see my screen, but we had a 618 retracement on the 4, pushing up to this daily resistance level at 136,688 from a 4 hour perspective. Coming back to retest the cloud, could potentially see a little bit more pullback coming to a previous level of resistance in this range here. And then potentially at last push to the upside for the dollar. And that kind of plays into the 1 hour 80-20 that's playing out right now.
Mm-hmm.
That 118, 127 zone, right? So we get a push down here, could likely get to that 382 previous zone here, right? Previous zone right there. It's stalling at this one here, but we could push a little bit deeper, getting back to that level there. So I see what you're saying, looking for those buy opportunities. I wouldn't necessarily have bought it yet, but
I haven't bought it yet.
Okay. Where's your limit set?
It is. I'm about to tell. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready. My concern was that that daily area sitting right there. It's like I got it just below that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it set at 1.35397.
Gotcha. So just above that. Yep. Yeah, I follow you there, and that makes sense from that 4 hour perspective. And then, like I said, previous resistance here, right? So if you get a push down there, could likely get to the 382 on the 1. and give you potential look for that break and retest on that 4. I follow your thought there.
Yeah, and I put my stop just below the range. I want to say actually a little bit over where that first low high is.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
dig that. I dig that. I like that thought. I like that thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's hop over, take a look at the DXY real quick. But yeah, I like that thought. That's the 80-20 right there coming down to your 382 and then a push to the upside. I'm with that. Yeah. Yeah. That's nice work. Let's see. DXY. All right. So this is the 4-hour. Broke out of that previous range. Strong push to the upside, just shy of this daily level at 12,994. Looking at a retracement. Right. So that kind of goes into that dollar CAD scenario, right? We're getting retracement right now. We'll see how deep this retracement goes, but retracement nonetheless. All right. So retracement on the DXY, retracement on the dollar CAD. That makes sense. Okay. And then we'll see end of the week if we retest this daily level or if we come into the 618 zone and see if we get catalyst for another push to the upside. All right. So DXY retracing. All right. Retracement's on there. Up retracement zone. So I follow you. So that's the DXY on the 4. Coming back to the daily. This is what we're looking at here. Still don't have a still don't have an official swing high yet. If this continues to press down, we'll need 2 more. This is our high point here. So we'll need 2 more days to give us a swing high there and a new fib to the upside on the daily. We'll need something like that on the daily. All right. And then this retracement here. So that's what we're looking at there on the DXY on the daily, right? So up retracement zone there. Okay. Up retracement zone, price pulling back. So your dollar pairs would also be in that same motion, right? Retracements. Coming down to the 1. Zoom out a little bit. Actually come back. 4. Trying to get that old fib off there. There we go. Now down to the 1 right there. Boom. All right. So they have it on the 1 as well, right? That up retracement zone, making that move back down to the downside. So we'll see what happens down here in this range on the DXY. Okay. So that's that. So this dollar CAD scenario that we just walked through, the retracement makes sense. So now it's just about how deep does that retracement go, right? We got previous resistance in that zone, but we could see a deeper push here. So we'll watch it and see, right? That'll be more dependent on the dollar, I believe, than the CAD, but we'll look and watch for this retracement. All right. And then we'll look for buying opportunities. Okay. So that makes sense here. Good eyes on that, Joy. Donette, you too. Any questions on the dollar CAD? It's good work. All right. Sweet. Let's go here. All right. So no question on the dollar CAD. Let's go back to this dollar yen. We will walk ourselves back. Well, before that, right here on the 1 hour, 80-20 scenario here, price is turned over. Like to see price break below 139.894. Right. If we get a break below that, then we can see this move back down to the downside. right? So we got an 80-20 scenario here that is in our zone. We'll walk back to the daily and walk through to get back here, but 80-20 nonetheless here, right? And we know on the DXY we're in an up retracement zone. So here's opportunity for this retracement. Stop loss 119 pips, take profit 219, all right? It's almost a 2-to-1 there. Okay. So let's walk back now, all right? So we'll clear this out. Clear that out. Let's go to the daily. Boom. We took out this previous high, right? Running the fibs to the downside. We're looking at, excuse me, we're looking at this crown pattern, right? Crown pattern here on the dollar yen. Boom. Took out the previous low. Foresee the right tip. That was what we previously had. Higher push here, right? So let's see what happens to see if price comes back down. Right, still that crown pattern still could be intact if price turns over and makes its way back down to the downside here. Okay, so something additional for us to keep our eyes on as we are working through this pair.
So I got a question because I was reading the newsletter, and I guess maybe and then it was something else I heard before I read the newsletter. Are they talking about pausing the U.S. pausing the rates for June, or they really didn't make it clear?
So as of right now, yes, there's a potential for a pause in June. Now, it's that they were more data dependent, right? And they kind of made that shift. It was a kind of a hawkish pause, is what they called it. But they're watching the data, and then if you look at the data that we've seen so far, we're seeing expansion, we're seeing growth, right? We're not seeing the continued slowdown. So investors previously had a sentiment of an 80% chance that the Fed will pause. That shifted and that went down to more like a 40% chance that the Fed will pause. So it's not as clear right now what they'll do, but the sentiment currently still stands based on what was said, is a potential pause coming at the next meeting. So that's where they stand at the moment, based on notes from that came out in those Fed meeting minutes.
Okay, bet.
Yeah. So until ultimately until we see otherwise, right, or the data, if the data continues to come out in more of a hawkish tone, then that could change that sentiment. But right now, that's where the Fed stands. All right, so we'll see what the data has to say as we move through the week, right? So if we run a fib here off the low, that one got taken out. Come here, boom. Right, so this is where we are on the daily. I'll pull the crown off. Here where we are on the daily, right? Just shy of a 618 retracement, trying to make our way to the matching D extension, but potential pullback intact. Broke the B boundary on this push up. Retracement, retest potentially, right? And then we'll look for continuation. Okay, so that's on the daily. Potentially coming back and retesting that B boundary, and then push to the upside there. All right, so coming down to the 4 now. We'll zoom back out of here, and we see 4 hour, same as the Move that. Anywho, 4 hour same as the daily. So we'll run those fibs here on the 4 also. All of those get taken out there. Yep. So we'll come here. Boom. So we got 80-20 scenario here on the 4 hour as well. Now, excuse me, this could play out where we just get this retest on the lower time frame and bounce. So on the 4 hour, we may not get this deep retracement, right? We saw a shallow retracement. We push into the 118, 127 zone here, right? We'll watch this here to see, because we've got previous daily levels. We may not get the deep retracement to the 618 zone here. Okay. So we'll watch this 80-20 as we look at on the 1 hour time frame, right, that we have mapped out. Then if we do break 137,861, also then be more inclined for that crown pattern to start to form, that right tip. If we break down below this 137,861 and look for price, then continue to fall. But we're looking at 80-20 on the 4, right, with the potential of it just stalling at that 236 level, right, and then coming down to our 1 hour time frame, looking at this 80-20 here. Oops. Boom. Like so, right? So this is where we'll play this one. All right. Previous fib on the 1 hour didn't play out, right? I had a shallow retracement, just ran to the D extension. And so here we are, right? And if we get that retracement on the DXY, we can be looking for that retracement there on the dollar. I mean, on the dollar yen. Okay. Questions here on the dollar yen. 119. Oh, all right, cool deal. So that's the setup there for 219. Okay. Put it down there to TP1. 162. Okay. Just getting those levels in, and I'll get that posted after the session. Boom. Okay. All right. So that's the dollar yen. Let's take a look at the dollar Swiss since we're here. Dollar Swiss, we're just caught in this range, right? We already got a 382 push. This is the one. We'll bounce back and take a look at the higher level. But we got to that TP1 level already off the 80-20, right? Now we push back above this daily level, 90.033. Again, if we see that retracement in the dollar short term, we could just see price push down into our sweet spot here on the 1. Okay. So that's a quick look on the 1. Come back to the daily, and then we'll walk through. Here we are on the daily. Clean up. There we go. All right. B boundary. We got to push to the upside. We're coming back, pulling back a bit, potentially retesting that 90.033, maybe a little bit deeper, right? And then looking for price to continue its move to the upside. Daily 382 at 91.412. Okay. So that's what we see here. Okay. Coming off the B boundary, pushing to the upside. We're at the 236 level right now. Coming down to the 4. Zoom out. Let's run these to the downside. Here's the 80-20 on the 4 hour that is in motion, right? Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. we're pushing to the upside. Okay. So now we're in a bit of a range. We'll see a pullback and we'll look for the continuation at least to that 382 at 91, 326. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. So, yeah. So we're already emotional on the 4, right? Out of that 118, 127 zone, we're at 196, right? And we'll look for total push on that one to that 382 of 302 once it gets there. All right. So just allowing that one to swing if you're in it. If not, we'll drop back down to this 1 and we'll look for a potential C to D push that we could be in for once this retracement finishes out. So we'll take that out now. Come down to the 1. Boom. Like so. All right. So the 80-20 already played out. We already got to the 382. 80-20 no longer the option here, right? Looking for retracement into the sweet spot, and then buying opportunity is C to D move, right? This level here is that that daily 382. Okay, right. My bad. This is the daily 382 here. It's weird, interesting. But so we got opportunity to push to the upside there. Okay. So this is what I'm waiting for on this dollar Swiss. Is this retracement down into the sweet spot? And then I look for the CDD push. Boom. Okay. So my perspective on this is to be patient and just allow this one to pull back. All right. I'm not going to trade this because it already got to the 382. So there's a chance that it could push to the upside, right? And just continue rising. So I'll be patient here and wait on this deep retracement if I get it. Okay. Questions on
Hey,
the
Ryan.
Swiss? Yes.
Hey, Ryan, can I see your daily chart one more time, please?
Yep. 1 second. There you go.
Okay. That's what I have. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So just playing these waves now to the upside. Playing the waves to the upside. Any other questions here on this dollar? I mean, dollar Swiss. Nope. All right, cool. Now I want to go through some of these Aussies also, all right? Because we got a short-term bullish bias on the Aussie, some of these retracements. So Aussie CAD came down, right? Strong push to the downside, came into this daily support level, and we're stalling, starting to try to get a retracement. But you see, we broke out of this consolidation finally to the downside. So we could potentially be in for a retest. Excuse me. A retest of the level. And then that continuation short. All right. Retest, continuation short. So as we move down through the time frames, we come to the 4. All right. And we see we've already got that move. Okay. So if we run a sub fib off of, which is now the C, the deepest point in between that AB boundary. Okay. You also see we got a 50% retracement, right? So we're in for that move to the downside still. Okay. But this could be that retracement opportunity or a high price to retest that level that we broke through for that short. Okay. Boom. So it'll come down to the 1, and this is what that looks like here. Okay. Didn't quite push into that 118, 127 zone, been hovering at this B boundary. So looking for that pullback in that high price, right? My rules, I'm not trading this off of this level, but I will wait for price to push here. I'll wait for the high price and give me that opportunity to get short. Like so. All right. Let's pull the cloud off for a second. All right. So we're looking at this move here. So the trade setup that I'm waiting on is this.
So I got a question.
Talk to me.
So because this was that was a head and shoulders, right? That wasn't no crown. That was a head and shoulders. I've been waiting on the pull back to the neck, but because it was consolidation, instead of taking the more high probable will be for that second pullback off the consolidation than the neck.
Say that one more time. So you're looking here.
So on the day, right?
Yeah,
so normally on
yeah. Just because the way that I'm looking at it is this daily level served pretty strong here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This neckline, it got broken, it retested, but then it pushed back above and it never really held at that zone. Right? So price has been making those lower highs and lower lows to the downside. And ultimately, I'm looking at that continuing in this trend line being respected.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I personally, in what'll change my perspective on that is if that level gets broken, right? If we get a strong break of that and a retest and it holds, then okay, yeah, we can be looking at price coming back to that neckline. But because we had this strong support level here, I don't see price coming back higher than that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for there.
And okay, yeah, because I was looking at that last. I was looking at that last engulfing, so I was throwing myself off.
Right here, right?
Yeah.
And you could potentially see a wick on the daily. You could potentially see that, right? Because what that'll look like is this. Let's do it. Right, you box this out. That's your engulfing candle there. Boom. We'll bring that down. Right? This is where that falls into. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So you could potentially see a push into that zone, gets that 618 level, which is your sweet spot anyway. Right? On the daily, what that'll look like potentially is just a wick. And then a push back down. Right? So it still falls into price pushing into the sweet spot and then getting back short.
That's what's up.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Cool deal. Any other questions here on this Aussie CAD? Cool. We got Aussie Swiss. So on the daily, 236 retracement, we've been pressing down, right? Haven't gotten back to this daily support yet at 58,517, but we're making our way to the downside. Strong bearish action here, right? We got a short-term bias on the Aussie, potentially for pullbacks to happen, right? Had a previous support level that got broken here, right? Could we retest that and keep short. We'll see, right? We'll see if the Swiss, if we get shift back into a risk-off environment, right? But overall, coming to the 4, we're down. 618 retracement. We're looking short, right? We're looking short with the D extension here at 58,348. So we're making that way to the downside. This was a strong move last week, right? From Monday to Friday was straight down. So we're due for a retracement, right? It makes sense. Smaller waves due for a retracement. Price is overextended. Can we get a retracement for a high price to then get back short? Coming down to our 1, right? On our 1 overall, we're down, right? Overall, we're down. Smaller waves, but in these smaller waves, boom, 80-20 scenario on a smaller wave. So could we see pull back here, retesting previous support levels to then get back short? Right? That plays into this. Pull back, right? Previous support levels there. Boom. All right. So this is your zone that you'd be looking for price to push into. Right? But want to see a high price, want to see a 618 or deeper. Right? So we'll be patient. If it doesn't get there, that's cool too. Right? But these are smaller waves. This would be more of an intraday opportunity potentially, right? But boom. Need price to come here.
You have, like your previous, like in this particular example, you have the price will pull back to, if it pulls back just below the 382 to structure. It's like, how do you?
Yep. So for me, right, this is that previous support level off that
Mhm.
daily, right? I wouldn't take that, right? So I would still wait and see if price gets to the 618 level, understanding that it may not. And if it doesn't, then I don't take that trade.
Okay.
Yep. If it doesn't get back into my sweet spot, I don't take the trade. That's where I want it to come. Right up in here. All right. This is where it may come. And that's okay. Right? Because overall, we know we're down. All right. We know we're down. That makes sense. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I guess according to it's more the risk to reward, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My rules are 618 or deeper. So if it gets to that 382 and retest a previous support level, that's fine, right? But it didn't come back into my zone. Didn't come back into my zone. So I'll allow it to stay. Let me reset this real quick. So that's my rule, right? 618 or deeper. So I'll be patient and wait on it. And if I don't get it, that's cool.
So so say if you set a buy limit and price didn't come there, when would you delete it? When it
I set a buy
didn't?
limit or sell limit?
Yeah, I mean a sell limit. So say if you set a sell limit, it didn't come, you forgot about it. If price is still within that range, would you still keep it, or would you just redo your order level?
If price is still in the range, right, and it just didn't get up there, once price breaks below this this bottom of this range here, I would most likely close that limit out, because this is a level of support here, right?
Yeah.
So if it breaks below that support level, it's likely just going to continue to the next support level or the D extension, which takes out the likelihood of this deep retracement happening. Still could, right? But if it doesn't get to that 382 level and push higher and just turns back over, like doesn't get to the 382, pushes just above that 236 level, right? And then pushes down and breaks this level, I'm probably gonna close that pending order, right? And wait to see what price does. Because I may, if price doesn't get to that D extension and we don't get that 382, right? Depending on where we are fundamentally, I might look for the 80-20 opportunity first.
Gotcha.
Right? So I'll close that to allow this to happen and then see what transpires here, because it could push to the D extension or it could stall here. And either one I'll be able to watch to see, okay, because this is really close, this daily support in that D extension. But if it didn't get to the 382, we know that it can still turn over at key support levels, right? Even if it's outside that 118, 127 zone. And so I would be more interested in that recent opportunity for the B to C move. And then if I do then get price to come back up here, then I can reassess that scenario.
Gotcha.
Okay. Love the question.
With that being said, Ryan, would you, let's say it broke that level and, fundamentally we have news or whatever, would you do a fib where we look for the 60-18 to the downside?
Would I run a sub fib on it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally, no. I wouldn't personally. I would just allow it to go. I did that on this on that last pair because what was that? That was the Aussie Cat. I ran that sub fib here because we had that. Was it this one that I ran that sub fib on? No, that wasn't the Aussie Cat. What did we look at? Hold on.
We did use Chef and USDJPY.
Yeah, on that it was on the dollar Swiss, I believe. Or dollar yen, one of them. But the sub fib, just because price was already in a key zone. I don't remember which one that was. I ran that on. My bad. I don't remember which one that was. But because we had sharp movement to the downside, looking for a high price to continue short. I thought that was the dollar. I'm tripping, guys. I'm tripping. I thought that was a dollar cat.
Maybe it was UJ.
Okay. Anywho, right? But it was just an intraday opportunity. Just looking for a high price, right? Because ultimately I'd be waiting for price to come up to that high point to then get short. So in this scenario, though, on this dollar Swiss, if it ran, it ran. And you could, though, if you wanted to trade those intraday opportunities. Most times I don't, right? Most times if it doesn't get to that high price, I won't try to catch a move like this, right? This is a lower time frame. These are smaller waves, because ultimately be me dropping down to the 15-minute time frame to take a trade off the 15. And that's not something that that's not where I trade anymore, right? I removed that from my trading plan. I'm only trading off the 1 hour time frame. So I would allow those smaller moves to go, right? Where I did that in that last move, that's not a trade that I'm going to take as far as that move, but price is moving that way. So for an intraday opportunity, you could.
Yeah, I think it was one of the USD pairs, I think, because price was moving down to the downside, so it made sense.
Yeah. So you could, though, if you wanted to, but my suggestion on that would be, all right, price is moving to the downside. Let me drop down to the 15 and look for that smaller wave as opposed to being on the one.
Yeah, but I do see your point if it hasn't hit the 382, to not.
Yeah. If it hasn't hit the 382, right, you still have opportunity for price to turn over at the support level, right? So, and I don't trade 236 to the D extension. That's not in my trading plan, right? So 618 or deeper, push to the downside. And if it doesn't give me that, then I'll wait.
Yeah, I was only thinking like that because you got Aussie news tonight, so if it does,
that help trying to chase the market, trying to chase the entry.
Yep. And that's one of the things that I used to do that, right? I used to try to find those smaller entry points, and I found myself over trading. And in that over trading, I lost money. So I stopped doing it. Right. And just my goal has been and is to continue to refine and only take specific things. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll take your advice.
Sure will, because I thought I was doing something, and I'm more so lost out because I ain't paying attention. Because you said that just because I'm on an hour, if I'm dropping down to the 15, all in all, I'm trading on the 15, so I shouldn't be expected to hold it that long anyway. And I think I just lose track with the time and be like, oh, dang, it didn't hit my target.
Yeah. Because you guys didn't remember, right? And we teach this for different entry opportunities and different entry techniques of, running that fib and dropping down to the 15 for that entry if you're looking for that tighter entry. But I've gotten to the point where I'm okay psychologically placing my stop outside the D extension or above that A and just allowing price to do what it does, regardless of how many pips that is. If it's 200 pips, it's 200 pips. I do my math. I keep it moving, right? As opposed to dropping down to the 15-minute and looking for that peak when price changes direction. Now, when it gets to my zone, 618, I'm going to take the trade. When it gets to this 118, 127 zone, I'm going to take the trade and place a stop outside the D extension and allow the market to do what it does. For me, that's removed some of the anxiety. It's removed me over trading. It's removed me babysitting my trades. It removes that for me, and it allows price really just to allow the market to move as it moves. And ultimately, we see it time and time again. It does it over and over and over again, right? This is the actual pair here. This is why this is why I couldn't find it, because I'm sitting looking at it, right? Here's the move, right? This is the larger move to the downside, right? And we know we're short, right? We know we're short. We've been short on all the other time frames. Okay. This is the example, Donette. Sorry. But we know we're short. And so for me, I know I'm short, right? So now is there a high price to add to the trade, right? And that's where these smaller waves would come in. So that's where if I got this high price here off of these sub fibs off of the C, right? I wouldn't do it off of these smaller waves, but off of the C. There you go. And this is where you get those opportunities to add to your trade as price moves to the downside.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. I think the biggest thing is, when you trade the 1 hour, it just takes like days to play out. And how do you work I guess you're comfortable with your psychology in terms of waiting. But when you want to do like daily trades, all your 1 hour is still a comfort zone in terms of your trade plan, or you're not looking to get a daily return, or
I'm looking at it more from a long, and I get where you're going with that, especially when you're looking at some of the prop firms and things like that, where you got to have those trades closed on the weekend. And in those scenarios, the majority of the time, to really ensure that those you get to your profit targets by the weekend, you're more likely going to want to trade on the 15-minute for those scenarios, right? Where you got to close the trades on the weekend. And this would be one of those scenarios here where this is your retracement move that you could play, right? And then wherever it is in this move back to the upside, cool, get back to that 382 potentially by Friday, right? Maybe even before, right? And so that's where I'd look at if I was in that scenario where I had to have trades closed by the weekend. I'm trading off of the 15-minute most likely, because those could take 1 or 2 days, and I know I can have those closed without missing out on a lot of the move, as opposed to that 1 hour could take a week to do what it does.
Yeah, I like it though. I like the strategy. I mean, it definitely would reduce the anxiety, and more importantly, you give yourself the analysis time too.
Yeah, and that time is huge, where you're not rushing to mark it up to find the entry, right? It gives you that space and that freedom to really be patient. I think, yeah, where you don't feel, even though it's the perception of being rushed on some of those lower time frames. Carolyn, I trade whatever pair makes money. If you trade on the 5-minute time frame, I would suggest that's where your entry is. If you trade on a higher time frame, I suggest that's where your entry is. So this 15-minute example, if I was trading a 15-minute chart, my entry would be off the 15-minute when it got into my sweet spot. That makes sense?
Yeah, but that could be tricky depending on how you do your analysis, because then price may move higher. So
say that again.
I mean, but if I was on the 1 hour and I was trading the 1 hour and I was trying to find a smaller entry on the 5 or the 15, as long as my position is the 1 hour mark, then I'm still trading on the 1 hour, right?
Yes, right. So if you pull this fib, if you pull that 1 hour fib down, right, and then you're looking at those 1 hour opportunities with a tighter entry on the 15-minute. Right, if you wanted to do that, right? Say this sub fib here, which is ultimately that 15-minute fib, right? We'll link that down, and that's that 15-minute fib there, right? And how we initially got into this conversation was, if price didn't give you that high price, right, but only came back there, would you run a fib? Would you run a fib off of this move here to the downside? Because ultimately what you'd be looking at is you'd be looking at these smaller waves. It wouldn't be large like that. You'd be looking at something like this. right? And you'd be running your fib off these smaller waves. Right?
But also with the potential for it, if you go to the lower time frame, that will go like 786, 886 higher, because you know
Say
when
that
you
one more
try to
time
get,
for me.
when you try to get your entry on the lower time frame, because prices, whether it's pushing down or pushing up, you the entry, even though your rules say 618, price may come to the 886 because you're going lower.
Oh, sorry, I'm still not following you.
So let's say when we take that fib down to
A 1 hour fib to the 15.
yeah.
Okay.
Right? When you're looking for price to get an entry to push down, right? It may come higher.
Oh yeah. This may push deeper into that zone. Yep. Which is why, right? This is in between. That's why I was saying I wouldn't, because ultimately this example of price pushing up here to this 236 level and then pushing down, right? I wouldn't be one to take this move here because of that potential for price to push higher and take me out of the trade, right? And puts my risk to reward completely off. You follow me there?
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's what you have to be cautious of, because you're in a lower time frame.
Yeah. For sure. Right. And so understanding the bias and where price is going, and so that's where it's really important to hone in on those rules, right? And be very, very specific, understanding what your risk to reward is in each of those scenarios, right? And managing that properly, because as Benny says all the time, that risk management it's number one, right? If you don't manage your risk, you won't be able to do anything else. So good discussion. Good discussion. So that's what we're looking at. Right there. All right. So there we are. We'll wait patiently for that to develop. We'll take a look at one more and then we will wrap it up so I can get the kid ready for school. So this Aussie yen, right? And not much doing in my opinion here, but here we are, right? We got 50% retracement, been pushing to the upside, right? We're struggling at this 92,421 level, came to it twice, right? Pushed down. We're in a pullback phase now. We'll see what happens, right? But not able to break above that level yet. Coming down through time frames on the 4, right? We see that highlighted a bit, right? And we're just slowly sliding here to the upside, struggling at this level. We got a 618 retracement here. We're trying to push long, matching the extension 93,460. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we get there, right? Depending on more on the Aussie as opposed to the yen, because we're not really in a risk off environment currently. And here we had the 80-20 scenario, shallow retracement of 118, 127 zone, gave us a 382, then a double top, push down. Right. So we got a 786 retracement on the 1. Right. So in this scenario, what we could potentially see, right, and we're having that conversation about potential short-term Aussie bullishness, push to the D extension here on the 1 hour. 786, let's see, 90752, 9075 for Just barely missed. Let's see this one. We just barely missed that 8-6 retracement zone. Yeah, 743. So we did. So 8-6 retracement matching the extension is the 118 level, right? So in this one, looking for price to push to the upside, be a third time at this daily level at 92,404. Oh, nice work, Joy. You've been buying that the whole time? I love it. Great work. Great work. Buys off the lows, looking long. I love it. I love it. So let's see if price gets back to this level and then again see what happens at 92,404. Right. So nothing doing here, looking for the extension on the 1, right? And then we'll assess that daily level and if we stay below it, right? If we stay below it, we could have a new fresh AB boundary, right? Once price gets here, and then we can determine, all right, this is what we'll do next. So patience on this one, allow it to do whatever it's going to do, be it push to the upside or push to the downside. Okay, stuck in between the fib right now. So nothing doing on that Aussie yen. Real quick, because I do want to look at this one before we wrap. What's the Aussie NZD? Yeah. Aussie NZD. That Swiss yen is interesting, man. It's Aussie NZD, right? We're pushing into the 618 retracement zone on the daily, right? Came down, pushed off the weekly support. Beautiful move to the upside. Now we're stalling out, right? 618 retracement on the daily. Coming to the 4, you got an 8-6 retracement on the 4 off that strong push there, right? Beautiful playoff support, push to the upside, 8-6 retracement. Now the question is, do we turn over or do we take out this A boundary, right? If we're still bullish on the Aussie in the short term, could see a push up to take that level out, right? And then at some point in the future, hit that D extension, some point in the future, getting a reset and price turning back over. So we'll watch that one to see what happens, especially with the news coming out today. Coming down to your 1. Here we are on the 1. We got a shallow retracement, right? If we do push up, take out that A on the 4, puts us in this 118, 127 zone on the 1. All right, so this is what I'm looking for on the 1 to see if we get a push into this zone. We'll get a fresh fib at some point on the 4, right? Deep retracement on the daily, 618 or deeper. And then we'll see if we get price to turn over here to give us a short opportunity. Like so. Okay. See if we get something like that. Questions on this Aussie New Zealand?
No.
No? All right. Any questions on anything before we wrap it up for the day? Or for the morning?
No, thank you. This was good.
Awesome. All right. You're welcome. All right, good people. Right? Patience. Really, really dig into your rules, man. Really dig into your rules. It's so important. Ben will be back with us tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Asian session. See how things transpire. We'll take a look at that Aussie news that comes out tonight and see where it pushes the market. You guys have a phenomenal Tuesday. 1% better, right? Let's look for that 1% today. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Have a good one.